Hello and good morning. Welcome to today's insightful webinar on accounts payable process automation, proudly presented by Landell Services, your trusted partner in document lifecycle solutions and process automation. My name is Matthew. I'm the Group Marketing Manager here at Landell Services. I'm delighted to have the opportunity to be your host today as we embark on this journey to explore the cutting-edge world of document management and process automation. Before we get started, a little bit of housekeeping. This session will be recorded. Speakers' contact information will be provided following the event. Feel free to ask any questions in the Q&A at any point throughout the webinar, and we'll get to a Q&A session at the end. And for those that would like to learn a little bit more about how accounts payable process automation can enhance their business and streamline processes, we will be inviting all attendees to join a one-to-one demonstration where we'll be able to walk through a scenario within your business and identify how it can help you streamline your processes. For those who are not familiar with Landell Services, we were established in 2016 by two directors with over 4 decades in document lifecycle solutions consultancy. Landell Services has been on a remarkable journey, guided through a steadfast mission to inspire growth for our customers through deploying smart technology solutions. In that time, Landell and many other businesses, many of our customers have faced monumental shifts in the industry. Challenges such as Brexit, COVID-19, and global supply chain shortages have made business very difficult. But at times when others have struggled and other competitors have found it difficult, we have weathered the storm and thrived. And that is due to our commitment and remarkable ability to help customers innovate around processes, document lifecycle solutions. In that time, we've managed to achieve an over 6 million turnover, over 3,000 global customers, and doubled in size in less than 2 years. This showcased our unwavering commitment and excellence and ability to adapt, primarily focusing on making customers more agile and helping advise them around innovation. The problem with manual accounts payable tasks is that 7 in 10 accounts teams spend up to 10 person-hours per week on manual accounts payable tasks, totaling an average of 520 hours per year. Where accounts automation can help benefit your business is helping to reduce by 50% the processing times for finance documents, improve accuracy, reducing the risk of costly errors, and decrease in operational expenses. The agenda for today, we're going to walk through a deep dive into the world of accounts automation and its transformative potential, an in-depth look at DocuWare and how it's revolutionizing accounts payable processes, real-world success stories showcasing the impact of this technology, and the questions and answer section at the end. Today, I have joining me the speaker for today, or presenter for today, James Chantler, Business Development Manager at DocuWare. He brings a wealth of experience and insights into DocuWare solutions and how it can revolutionize your accounts payable department. So without further ado, James, skipped over that, introducing DocuWare. Today, we're going through how DocuWare solutions can revolutionize your accounts payable department, show us how easy it is to adopt. He's going to demonstrate the benefits of efficient document management and provide valuable insight into how DocuWare's technology can enhance or will enhance your existing business systems. So without further ado, over to you, James.
Thank you very much, Matt. And good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining the call. So we're going to cover DocuWare today. So for those people that may not know DocuWare essentially is a document management system at its core, but it's much more than that. It allows us to store documents centrally, but also use the information in those documents to then efficiently, productively route those documents to the relevant people to make the right decisions at the right time for the business. So a bit about DocuWare before we begin. DocuWare has been in over 35 years in document management, and in that time we've grown to over 15,000 customers and 650,000 users across 100 countries worldwide. We also have a strong relationship with a lot of technology partners out there. So some of those key areas of Microsoft and your Sage and your ERP providers such as SAP. This allows us to then provide a best practice and best trusted technology set for those customers that have document challenges. We also have accreditations that follow a lot of certifications that are required UK, Europe, and worldwide. We also have a growing list of customers that are trusting to use DocuWare within their own companies. Now, you may see on this, there's a lot of household names, a lot of large organizations. I'm pleased to say DocuWare being a completely scalable solution means that even small organizations from sole traders up to multinationals still are able to get great value out of this feature set. But what we want to focus on today is DocuWare and how it can help around accounts payable, and in particular around processing of incoming invoices. What DocuWare can help with is rapid, accurate capture from all different types of sources. So whether that is from emails, paper-based, whatever it needs to be, we can capture that information. As I mentioned, we can then look at the information in that page and then automatically, using intelligence, route that to the relevant person to make the relevant decision at that time. All while doing this, we're providing a secure archive, which is fully searchable to those people that have the rights to do so. So typical challenges we've seen over the years with accounts payable, and we've done a lot of accounts payable. It's a very strong area of our solution. But what we typically see when we're speaking to our customers is a lot of issues around data entry, maybe putting the wrong decimal in the wrong place when they're doing that entry because they've got a lot of paperwork to get through. Duplicate payments can be a common issue, particularly if there's multiple copies of the same invoice going to different people at the same time. And again, all this leads to a lot of time wasted within an organization. But once we've keyed that information out, sometimes there's confusion on where it needs to go. Does it need to go to this person for approval? If it's above a certain amount, does it need to go to a director? Again, maybe creating confusion, delaying the process and leading to issues with supplier payments. And then the final part, I'm sure those people in accounts, it's their favorite time of year when the auditors come, is understanding actually what has been done with that document, providing evidence that it is a true likeness of the original document that was received, and ensuring that it is secure and it is not going to be lost or looked at by somebody else. All of those things are true challenges that we see day in, day out in accounts payable departments across the country. So I'm going to step you through what a typical accounts payable manual process we would consider looks like. Now, I'm going to caveat this with, I know every business is different and every business is going to have their own nuances. But at the core, what we typically see is we'll have invoices received. And I've touched on that where they come majority these days by email, but then sometimes we'll get some by post. Some might go to different offices. Some might get emailed 3-4 different people at the same time. All those invoices are coming in from different sources. We then need to book that in. Now we see customers where they will maybe have 2 screens and they will manually key that out from the invoice on one screen into the ERP or their finance system on the other. Other companies will print those out and they will key them in that way. But again, it is all a manual task where we've got time-consuming processes where a person is having to sit there and key this information in and ensuring that the information they're keying in is accurate. Maybe they have a check purchase order process, in which case there's often then a purchase order check. Let's make sure that everything matches on that invoice against that purchase order. It's not always as simple in real life as well. We might get multiple invoices for one purchase order, and it's a case of then tracking which items have been received, which items have been invoiced, and effectively closing down that purchase order. Then it's the age-old problem of let's get that invoice approved. So again, this could be leaving a piece of paper on somebody's desk, sending them an email with an attachment, asking them to approve it. And then it's a case of maybe, do they reply straight away? Are they in the office? Are they out the office? All of these things, again, can potentially lead to delays. It could even be that actually that piece of paper has been sat on the wrong person's desk all week while they've been on holiday. I now have to reroute it to somebody else to get approved. Finally, when we have that invoice approved, we're back into our ERP or our finance system to then update that check booked in record to say it is now ready for payment. Once we're happy everything is paid or updated in our ERP or finance system, It's a case of then storing that document. This could be in a network folder. This could be in a physical file. But again, these have their own challenges on, is everybody saving it the correct way? Do we have legal admissibility? Do we have an audit trail of actually this document has gone through this process? Possibly not. And again, when the auditors come in, it can be often challenging for organisations to evidence all of this information and find those documents quickly and easily. So we've just kind of covered what we typically see on a day-to-day basis. 90%, I would say, of an accounts payable process. Now, I mentioned not all customers are the same. We totally appreciate that. And that is why we can customize our system to work with all different types of organizations, different finance systems and different ERPs with our integration options. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to just run through a brief demonstration of how we can help with those points that we've just covered. And I'm just going to switch my screen to my DocuWare screen. So here is our DocuWare main user screen. As you can see, it is nice and clean and simple. We try and keep it as simple as possible so users can get to grips and start using this from day one. You can see to access it, all I've needed is a web browser and an internet connection. So I'm just accessing this via Google Chrome. We can use any other web browser out there as well. We also have apps for iOS and Android. So if you are out and about or a hybrid worker, again, we can overcome those challenges by being able to access this document and this information instantly. So to guide you through this user panel, the first thing I have open right now is our document trays. So if we think of these as our old-fashioned physical in tray, but this is our virtual document tray, and this is where we receive our documents into the system. You can see I've got one called invoices in. This has now got 3 invoices in my document tray, all color-coded, which I'll come on to shortly. But to capture these documents, we can monitor email addresses, we can scan to this system, we can drag and drop from Outlook, we can monitor folders on the network, we can print to this system, we can take pictures on our mobile and upload. We've got every kind of conceivable way of being able to capture this information in these documents imaginable, configured, ready in our system. Our color coding is a key feature within DocuWare that we like to call intelligent indexing. This is a function where our system, instead of the user having to key out this information, our system will learn the layout of the documents and start automatically extracting the information we need to extract from it. And that color coding is telling us how confident it is it's found the information it needs to find. So for example, we have a document highlighted in red, which means we've never seen a document from this. Oh, I'll click on that. We've never seen an invoice from this supplier before. So we'll need to teach the system. But in 1 to 2 invoices from that supplier later, I would expect to see it go amber. And that is when it's saying, I actually start to understand the layout of these supplier invoices. But you might just need to double check things. Then 1 to 2 more, we would expect to then see green. And this is DocuWare saying, I've got this. I know where to look for that information. But before I actually start going through this process, I'm just going to take a step back here. We mentioned around probably the first part of any invoice process is actually we need to place an order with the customer. In my example, I have a purchase order in my system. So I've raised an order with the company and sent that off to that supplier. I've received the goods and now I've received the invoice. Now, for my demonstration purposes, my purchase order resides in DocuWare. And we do help a lot of other customers if they don't have a formal purchase order process. We can enable that in DocuWare. But for those other customers or users that may have a purchase order system already in place, whether it's their finance system or ERP, we can integrate with those systems so we can make that information referenceable from DocuWare. But I have a purchase order and I have a status here that my order has been submitted. We've now received our invoice. Now you can see I've got an invoice here from US Steel. It's captured all of this information. It's nice and green. It's telling me how it's found. It's confident it's found that information. But just to touch on the simplicity and the usability of intelligent indexing. If this, in my example, was the first time I'd seen an invoice from US Steel, for me to teach the system, all I need to do is read the document and drag over the text with my mouse on where that information is. So I've cleared out 3 fields here: supplier name, invoice date, and invoice number. So I'm going to now populate supplier name. And to do that, as I mentioned, I'm just going to drag over the supplier name on my invoice. And when I let go of my mouse, it populates on the left-hand side. I'm going to do the same with invoice date. Populates. I'm going to do the same with invoice number. And it populates. That is all we need to do to teach our system. And the more invoices from more suppliers it sees, the more intelligent it becomes of automatically capturing that information. As I mentioned, from the first time of seeing an invoice to the 4th time, I would expect the system to go from red to amber to green. So we're confidently capturing that information. Now, in my system, when I hit store, DocuWare is going to start what we call a workflow process. So what this is going to do is look at my invoice and capture that order number and check automatically against my purchase order. Not only is it going to do that, it's also going to capture the name of the person who raised the purchase order and automatically allocate a task for approval to that person to ensure that they've received those goods or service. So I'll click store. And that's now been stored. Now, straight away, we can see a task has been highlighted on my screen. And that is because I was the person who raised that purchase order. So it's automatically been assigned to me to approve. Now, the task is notified in our user screen, but just as easily, we can have email notifications come through as well. So I'll also receive an email into my inbox, and it'll have a link to this specific task and take me to this page. So where I can see, I can approve that document. We can also see now, I've got an approve invoice, I can see the invoice, but we can also see that the PO amount check, we've actually checked the amount and we were happy the amount matched. Now we could do matching, we can draw down on a purchase order. So if we do get that situation where we get multiple invoices for one purchase order, we can start actually drawing down and reconciling it accurately and notifying the user if actually we've been invoiced more than a purchase order amount as well. But I'm going to just pop some comments in to say it's all okay and it's approved. And hit confirm. Throughout this process, this document has been securely stored and is fully searchable to those people. I always say those people have access rights and privilege to view those documents. Our search capabilities mean we can search based on any of the information I've extracted. And this information is completely customizable to you and your business. So please don't think that this is a fixed value here. We would actually look and work with you to understand what information is important to you and your business to ensure that you're accurately processing these documents. We can search based on multiple layers. So we could say, show me all invoices for a particular supplier between a date range or above a certain amount. Or we can simply, because every document goes through full optical character recognition, we can simply do a full text search, which means we can search for any keyword in any of those documents. I'm going to quickly just search and bring up both of our documents right now. So we can see our purchase orders here and our invoices here. I'm just going to highlight one thing that's happened in our system. Our document status has gone from order placed to now matched because we've matched it against a purchase order, and our invoice has now become approved with our amount matched in our PO check. This means now we can export that data automatically or at set intervals into your finance system. So this is all now clean, approved data with full audit trails in which we can then publish to your finance system. To give you an idea on the audit trails, there's a full document history available for every document within our system. And we have 2 levels of this. The first is exactly who's stored the document, who's viewed the document. And then the second is what actions have been taken. So we can quickly and easily see exactly what time and date and what action was taken where we've said it's approved with our comments of all okay. So again, when auditors come in to look at these documents and ask questions about that, you can provide a comprehensive overview of every action that's ever been taken with these documents in the system. In addition, in our document viewer, we can also see I've actually stamped the document automatically. So we get great visibility if you ever need to then understand where a document is or what actions have been taken with the document. We have a great stamp and annotations available to be able to comment on these documents without actually changing the original format of those documents. So to recap, what I've just shown you in just a matter of minutes is our invoices received. We talked about them being come from all different angles, where we can have emails, paper, maybe different departments or different locations where they've been received. We can capture all of those centrally within our document management system. In addition, one thing I didn't show in our demonstration is we will also do duplicate checks automatically, meaning that if there are multiple invoices coming from different sources and we store all of those invoices on our system, the system will automatically notify the relevant person that we have found duplicate invoices and prompt them to take the appropriate action with those documents. We then looked at the intelligent indexing. So rather than us having to key out and make sure we haven't made any manual errors, we can automatically capture that information, and we can even validate that information based on any rules or regs you may have in place. We referenced the purchase order in Docua. As I said, that purchase order could be in any other system as well. With our integration options, we're more than capable of checking those purchase orders. And when we're checking them, we don't have to just check against header amounts. We can check at line item level or GRNs that may be in an ERP system. We can automate that purchase order check. In my example, we automatically allocated the relevant approver. If that was a high value invoice, I could have automatically escalated it to a second level approval at that point as well. We could even prompt it based on what department code has been ordered or whatever rules or regulations you may have around your own approval chains in your own organization. We can automate that approval. I should add as well, if I ignored that, Docua would remind me. It would remind me to then say, I still got an invoice to approve. If I carry on ignoring it, Docua could escalate that to somebody else. Or if I was out of the office, I can set an out of office in Docua and it automatically allocates to somebody else to deliver that task for me. When we have to go back into our finance system to update the invoice, we don't have to worry about that, because what Docua will do with its integration is automatically post that data, that approved data, into the finance system ready for payment. And then finally, as soon as I hit store, right at the beginning of this entire process, those documents are secure, they are fully auditable. They tick a lot of the different compliance regulations and GDPR requirements. All of those things are taken care of in a fully secure repository. I mentioned it's fully searchable, so we can search on based on any of the information we've extracted, and even better, any keywords that might be in that document we can also search on. So this is where we come back to those challenges that we see day in, day out with accounts payable. We're talking about that manual data entry. We're helping up people resolve that issue with intelligent indexing and ensuring that we can spot those duplicates before they come through. We then talk around the workflows, the approval processes. They can often be cumbersome or confusing on who needs to approve that. We can intelligently and smartly route those documents to the relevant people to take the appropriate action. And then everyone's favorite part is around auditing and document security. That's automatically taken care of straight away by storing the document in there. I should add as well, all of this is cloud hosted with business continuity plans where there's multiple copies and 2 different data center locations taken care of. So your documents and data are always looked after, more importantly. Now, we did talk, and we've obviously focused around accounts payable, but I should add that Docua is a document management suite. This means this platform can not only help with your accounts payable areas, but multiple other departments within your organization. We obviously do help lots of organizations across the country and in fact the world with their accounts payable processes, their purchase order processes. But we see lots of other departments, particularly maybe HR, where we have large organizations and small organizations. managing their HR policies, their onboarding, their offboarding, ensuring that all their documents are stored in a compliant way by putting retention policies behind them. Logistics as well is another area where we're seeing a lot of requirements in terms of increases of paperwork, particularly around Brexit and customs paperwork, all of those different types of processes that need to be followed and evidenced every step of the way. We can help in those areas, among many others you can see on the screen there as well. We also work with multiple different industry types and multiple different sizes, as I said. You can be a sole trader electrician where you maybe want just a handful, somebody to manage that paperwork for you, right through to a large corporate organization where you have a swamped in paperwork. But we help in all different types of industries, all different applications. Any manual processes you may have on a day-to-day basis, where it might be filling in forms, emails backwards and forwards for approvals, or just the manual data entry. DocuWare can help with those areas. That is everything from me today. I hope you found that informative. If there is anything that you may have found interesting or you'd like to know more information on, even if it was just one feature that we've touched upon, please, I urge you to get in touch and we'd be more than happy to look at that in further detail with you. So thank you, and I'll hand back over to Matt.
Thank you, James. Appreciate it. Thank you for that demonstration. Very detailed. Enjoyed that. I'm sure the attendees all gained a lot of value from it. I just want to bring everyone's attention back to a slide that I showed earlier, highlighting the amount of time that is spent on manual processes. And what I really want to just draw your attention to, and I guess let everyone have the opportunity to reflect on, is the amount of the average return on investment time that DocuWare provides to its customers, and that is 9 months. Within 9 months, it produces return on investment, helping to reduce your process and streamline the accounts payable processes. We're now going to move on to the Q&A. So if anyone has any additional questions, we've had some questions come in. So if anyone does, please feel free to pop them in the Q&A, and we'll try and get to them. If we don't, we'll make sure to follow up to everyone with an answer, so you will have your question answered. So James, got a question here. Someone asked, does DocuWare integrate with Xero?
Short answer, yes. What I will add to that is DocuWare has hundreds of integrations. In particular, they're all the main ones. We may have seen on one of the previous slides, you may have seen Sage and QuickBooks in there, but absolutely Xero, SAP, Microsoft Dynamics, all different applications. We have lots of different ways we can integrate, but fundamentally, a lot of the core account systems, yeah, we absolutely integrate with and we work with on a day-to-day basis.
Brilliant, thank you. Brilliant. So second question we've got here is, what is the cost for DocuWare? Difficult question that to answer.
How long's a piece of string? No,
yeah, exactly.
So the beauty of DocuWare is entirely scalable. So you may have noticed that, obviously, I've mentioned that we can have a small organization to a multinational, and that's because it's the same feature set, whether you need a huge system compared to a small. What I would say is, we do work with our customers, we understand their processes, and we always look in, and we, on average, will see a return on investment for our customers within 6 to 9 months. Cost-wise, obviously, just depends on the size of the system that is required for that organization.
Great, thank you. And another question we have here is, how does DocuWare compare against dedicated AP automation solutions?
Yeah, so this is it's a bit of a tricky one, but it isn't at the same time. So do not think as DocuWare is replacing your accounts payable systems. DocuWare is there to complement those systems. It's there to pick up the legwork of them presenting the information to them. So we touched on the process of getting the document read and approved. We're doing all of that automatically. So what we can do is then present that to your finance system. So that means that you don't have to worry about any of that manual intervention. We're just having a secure document repository and also presenting that clean, approved information to your accounts payable system.
Brilliant, thank you. Fine, fantastic. I think we've got another question here. Do you think we have time for one more?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Come on, then let's take another one.
Fit one more in?
Yeah, go on. Okay, so does DocuWare have any budgeting functionality? For example, when invoices are approved, allowing the budget holders to understand where they stand versus budget?
Yes, that's a great question. Absolutely. So I'll give you one example where we've worked with a customer who organize events across the world. And each event obviously has its own budget. So what this has allowed that company to do is not only give visibility, so they didn't actually have formal purchase order process in place. So the first thing we were able to do is assign budgets against each of these events and store that information in DocuWare. We were then able to create purchase orders within DocuWare and assign them against those set budgets. We have notifications when it gets to a certain level of that budget. It will notify the budget holder to say they're getting to the last 20% of their budget, for example. And then we can obviously reconcile the invoices against the purchase order, but also then allocate that budgetary and that project information against the invoice automatically as well. Now, I hope that wasn't a really long-winded answer and it made a bit of sense.
Makes sense to me.
But the short answer is, yeah, absolutely, we can do that.
Fantastic, great. Brilliant. Well, that ends our question and answer section. Again, for those that have asked questions we haven't answered, there are a few in there. We will come back to you individually following this event. For anyone that would like to learn more about how DocuWare can integrate with your business and help streamline your accounts payable processes, we'll be reaching out to you individually to offer you the opportunity to have a one-on-one demonstration and find out a little bit more in a unique scenario how it can integrate in your business. But that will follow the session. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope you've all enjoyed today's webinar on accounts payable automation, and I hope you have a lovely day. We'll speak to you soon.